Welcome, 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 everyone. Good morning. This is your 11 a.m. Girls Who Brunch Tour Facebook Live Takeover. This is Mimi Mimosa Palmer, and I'm going to pick up. This is part two of Letters of Encouragement by T.P. Brooks. It is 17 letters from 17 encouraging, inspiring, and motivated women. Throughout this book, you will be reminded time and time again that you are powerful, strong, and that you were created to become and overcome. Women from all over the world and from all walks of life share stories of love, courage, and achievement. You will be given tips and guidelines on how to live a rich and full life. And you will learn lessons from women who were once just like you. These letters will make you laugh and cry. These women will tell you of the beauty of life and the value of self-love. Hi, I'm also doing Instagram Live as well. Hey Tosh, hey Built-in Gun Show. So this is for the Girls Who Brunch Tour. These are for our ladies who are at home due to the coronavirus, COVID-19 situation. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm picking up where I left off. I hope more of you join. Letters of Encouragement, the scholarship book written by T.P. Brooks. And for those of you who do not know about the Girls Who Brunch Tour nonprofit organization, we service girls ages 9 through 17 that are rescued from sex trafficking, homeless, live in group home shelters, low-income areas who do not always have the resources. So we're bringing them encouragement, we're bringing them upliftment, we're bringing this information to them, and we're doing readings for them, so of all ages, to keep them engaged while they are at home during this time and keep them uplifted. All right. So to get started, I'm picking up where I left off. Quote, keep your virginity sacred and how, and I can't read today, so forgive me. Keep your virginity sacred and know that once you let it go, a piece of you goes away with it. Dear young ladies, I would like to share with you some lessons I have learned during my lifetime. Hey Lynn, how are you? I learned my first life lesson at the tender age of 6 years old. I remember coming home from church crying and being terribly upset that I had been teased about being adopted by one of my friends. Up to that point, I had been so proud of being adopted because my mother had always explained to me that I was special because she and my father were blessed with the opportunity to be able to choose a child to share their love with, and they chose me. Now, my world had been turned upside down by a heinous remark by another 6-year-old who probably really didn't know the sheer magnitude of the words she spoke or how they would affect me. The comforting words my mother spoke to me about this situation changed my life completely. She assured me that there was nothing wrong with being adopted and that sometimes people say things to make themselves feel better about their own personal situations and to help boost their own self-esteem. So, this situation taught me life lesson number 1. People may say things about you to bring you down, but they are talking about you to keep you from finding out about their own inadequacies. I learned my second life lesson during my teenage years. When I was very young, I was taught that my body was sacred and that I should treat it as a temple until marriage. During my teenage years, I started dating, and with dating came the pressure to give up my virginity. Initially, I stayed strong and held to my beliefs, and then I allowed peer pressure and lust to influence me to do the very thing that I didn't believe in. Looking back on my teenage years, I now understand why I should have waited to have sex. Sex caused me to experience some emotions that I was not mature enough to deal with, and it also caused me to be more curious and open to more promiscuous behavior. When you have sex before marriage, in essence, you are giving away a part of you to someone with whom you do not have a commitment. Going steady or committing to be someone's girlfriend does not compare to the marital commitment that is made between a husband and wife. Thus, life lesson number 2. Keep your virginity sacred and know that once you let it go, a piece of you goes away with it. Do not allow yourself to be put in a situation where your virginity may be compromised. Because lust is a very powerful thing. Also, do not allow others to influence you to give in or make you feel bad about being a virgin. Just remember, life lesson number 1. People may say things about you to bring you down, but they are talking about you to keep you from finding out about their own inadequacies. I learned the third life lesson when I first entered college. When I went off to college, I was excited, nervous, and determined to succeed. I was optimistic that college would be as easy as high school until I received my first quarter grade. I was failing courses and I could not understand why. I continued attending classes and studying, but my grades did not improve. In fact, my grades were so low that I was placed on academic probation and later was placed on academic suspension. I lost my financial aid privileges and I had to make a 4.0 in order to stay enrolled in school. Although I have been attending classes, I never asked my professors questions when I was unsure about the course material that I was being taught. After soliciting the help of a tutor, I realized I needed help with my study skills. And I also needed to apply myself more in class by taking an initiative to speak with professors when I did not understand the course material. After completing 2 years of college, my grade point average was severely damaged. As a result of my inadequate study habits and lack of initiative, it took me 6 years to complete a 4-year degree. The most valuable lesson I learned from this experience is life lesson 3. Your education is your responsibility. You have to take the initiative to succeed and everything else will fall in place. I hope my words of encouragement will help you succeed in life and allow you to pass your life lesson on to help other young ladies. Sincerely, Marissa Ellis, elementary teacher. So thank you for everyone who's joining us. They're joining me at this time. This is the Instagram and Facebook Live Girls Who Brunch Tour Takeover. Today I'm picking up where I left off, reading Letters of Encouragement, the scholarship book by T.P.Brooks. It is 17 letters from 17 encouraging, inspiring, and motivated women. These letters were written to young ladies to help provide them with inspiration and motivation. All right, I'm going to continue because I only have 30 minutes. And again, those of you who are not familiar with the Girls Who Brunch Tour nonprofit organization, this organization services young ladies ages 9 through 17. And thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate your attendance and participation. Thank you. If you have any questions about the organization, please feel free to visit the website www.girls with an S who WHO brunch, yes, brunch tour.com. All right, so I'm gonna continue. Okay. All right. If what was tormenting you, quote, if what was tormenting you was something man could fix, he would fix it. Your alignment is not of a physical nature, but of a spiritual one. And he is the only one who can fix it. My dear sisters and daughters, as I sit and begin to write this, I find myself trying to be prolific, trying to find just the right scriptures to back up the testimony I'm about to share. When it dawns on me, my testimony doesn't need to be anything other than what it is, my proclamation of God's grace and mercy in my life. I'm not a Bible scholar. I haven't been through ministerial trainings. I'm not a minister, an evangelist, a deaconess, or a prophet. I'm a 37-year-old single mom who knows and has experienced firsthand God's saving grace. And truthfully, that's all the qualification I need. Hello, welcome. Oftentimes, when I'm led to give my testimony, I usually would oftentimes when I lead, I can't talk today. Oftentimes when I'm led to give my testimony, I usually get one of two responses. One, stunned silence, or two, wow, I would have never guessed. Generally, I laugh and exclaim, of course not. You're not supposed to. When you've been washed in the blood of the crucified Lamb, you are a new creature and old things have passed away. So no, I don't look like a woman who was once bound by drugs, alcohol, sexual immorality, fear, and depression. I look like a child of the Most High, which despite the enemy's best efforts to convince me otherwise, is exactly who I am, and I'm not ashamed. In January 2005, my then pastor declared a healing explosion. The sanctuary was packed full of people wanting, desiring, and believing in God for healing from a variety of illnesses. The cover of the bulletin displayed a large black bomb with an unlit fuse surrounded by all manner of physical and spiritual ailments from which people needed deliverance. Looking at the cover of the bulletin, I quietly thanked him for my deliverance from many of the items listed and prepared myself for what was sure to be a powerful service. Nearly halfway through, the pastor shared the story of a man who arrived at church early in the week seeking assistance. Aside from the basic earthly necessities, he needed deliverance from the spirit of depression. My pastor went on to say that depression had been left off the list on the bulletin cover, but it was one that, among many others, should be included. Immediately after this, I felt a wave of heat wash over my body. All of a sudden, I felt like the thermostat had been turned up to 100 degrees. As I began fanning myself, a friend of mine looked at me and asked if I was okay. I told her yes, but continued to feel the heat. She laid her hand across my forehead and told me I was burning up. I know, was all I could manage to get out. During that service, I sat quietly and barely moved, a rare occurrence for me, and simply listened to what God had to say. While he said much, what I heard most clearly was, and you will share your testimony. I told him I would share it whenever, however, and to whomever he wanted. I was ready. Well, it wasn't time on Sunday or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, but today it became time. I was officially diagnosed with depression during what should have been my senior year of college in 1994. After being caught in a cycle of depression that landed me in a psychiatric hospital after a failed suicide attempt, prescription drugs and alcohol seemed to become mainstays in my life. 6 years later, I again found myself caught and a seemingly never-ending spiral of depression. A depression so crippling I was rapidly becoming a danger to myself and those around me. I had everything I thought I wanted: a man by my side, a beautiful house, a beautiful daughter, a fabulous job, and money to burn. But there was a pain in my life I often described as a spot I couldn't touch with anything this side of heaven. Anyone who has ever had to battle the spirit of depression understands all too well what I'm talking about. I felt like I was dying and didn't know why or how to stop it. I tried to drink the pain away, often consuming enough alcohol to inebriate a man twice my size. But the pain remained intense and persistent. I went to doctors who prescribed pills for me to take: Prozac, Wellbutrin, Effexor. If man made it, I took it. They succeeded in removing the pain. However, instead of feeling pain, I felt nothing. I couldn't laugh. I couldn't cry. I couldn't get angry. I couldn't love. Spiritually and emotionally, I was a corpse, and the enemy had every intention on keeping me that way. God, however, had a different idea. One Saturday in October 2001, after a massive fight with the man I was then living with, I dropped my daughter off at her father's house and drove to the Kroger around the corner from where I lived. I'd had it. I was tired, worn out, and beaten. I had given up. I purchased the largest bottle of extra strength Nitol, a drug usually to help you sleep, and I could find, and headed home. I went to the bedroom we shared, set up the video camera, and recorded a message telling him and everyone else goodbye. I wrote a letter to my daughter and to my parents and left them on the nightstand. I apologized for being a disappointment and asked them to forgive me. Grabbing the bottle of pills, I went to the bathroom on the floor below and locked myself in. I remember looking at myself in the mirror and hearing voices tell me I was worthless and a failure. I was a lousy daughter and even lousier mother, and the world was going to be a much better place as soon as I was gone. I've always been a good listener, so I listened to every word and believed them. I counted the pills in the bottle, which amounted to 30, and decided that I could easily handle 15 at a time. I filled the glass I'd left in the bathroom with lukewarm water and swallowed all 30 pills, 15 at a time, and waited to die. Unfortunately for the enemy, I woke up. Realizing I wasn't dead was more difficult for me to deal with than actually deciding that I wanted to die in the first place. I really was a failure. I couldn't even commit suicide correctly. But just as the accuser came to resume, whispering in my ear, I submitted to the one who saved me, and I decided to give God just one more chance to prove to me that I wasn't worthless, that I wasn't a failure, and that I had a purpose. He hasn't stopped proving yet. The road I've traveled from then on to now has been one fought with temptation, numerous battles of depression, pain, heartache, and sacrifice. But it was also a road filled with mercy, grace, love, redemption, salvation, restoration, and victory. In the months and subsequent years since 2001, God stripped me of everything I thought I would die without. I broke up with the man, gave up the house, quit the job, sent my daughter to live with my parents, and lost all of my money. But that was only the beginning. What God showed me, as only He can, was what it really means to say that He is my provider, my healer, my comforter, my peace. Lessons I am thankful I learned. As 2010 unfolds, I'm watching the promises of God unfold in my life. There are many promises I cannot share because they are only for me to know. But I will share this. In spite of the enemy's best attempts, the spirit of depression has been defeated in my life since 2003. My daughter came home in July 2005 and is a brilliant, beautiful, loving young lady who will be celebrating her 13th birthday this year. I graduated from Georgia State University with my master's degree in education in August 2005, and I'm currently pursuing my doctorate at the University of West Georgia. I'm also getting married in a few months to a wonderful man whom I know came from God, and I am a ninth grade academy coordinator and a high school English teacher. I could go on about the amazing things that have happened in my life since the day in 2001, but that would take an entire book. I don't know about you, but I serve a God who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that I ask or think according to the power of the works within me. Ephesians 3:20. Finally, if you are still on the battlefield fighting the spirit of depression, I want to share with you what God shared with me. If what was tormenting you was something man could fix, he would have fixed it. Your alignment is not of the physical nature, but of a spiritual one. And he is the only one who can fix it. I know you're tired, so stop fighting. Let God take over. It's time to give him just one more chance. If you do, I promise, no, he promises you won't be disappointed. This letter was written by Chantrice D. Sims, ninth grade English teacher and academy coordinator. Again, everybody, welcome to the Girls Who Brunch Takeover, Instagram Live Takeover, and Facebook Takeover for the girls that are in quarantine, that are home due to the coronavirus, parents out of work, volunteers. So today I'm reading Letters of Encouragement, the scholarship book by T.P.Brooks. And yes, these are 17 letters from 17 encouraging, inspiring, and motivating women. Throughout this book, you will be reminded time and time again that you are powerful, strong, and that you were created to become and overcome. Women from all over the world and from all walks of life share stories of love, courage, and achievement. You will be given tips and guidelines on how to live a rich and full life, and you will learn lessons from women who were once just like you. These letters will make you laugh and cry. These women will tell you of their beautiful beauty of life and the value of self-love. And yes, many of these women in the book, they do reference a higher power. They reference God, and this is, of course, this is their belief. And the only thing I'm saying in reading these books, reading this book and the letters, is that with Girls Who Brunch Tour, we do all of us that participate, we do believe in a higher power, a higher creator. Whoever that is for you, that is for you. So please understand, I'm just reading the words out of the book. If you believe in something completely different, we respect that as an organization. All right, so it is 11:23. Let's see if I can get through to the next letter. In America today, if a young woman wants something badly enough, has the required ability, and is willing to work hard enough to get it, she can do just about anything she wants. To the young women of sacred virtues, you are so lucky to live in a miraculous era in this marvelous country at a time when anything is possible for you. It doesn't matter what color you are, what sex you are, the world is waiting for your unique contribution. It would be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. It wouldn't be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. But it is, I can't read, but it will be possible, and it won't be as difficult for you as it was for those who came before you. I was born in 1937 in the midst of the Great Depression. Perhaps you have heard of it. My father was a door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman who had left his family farm in Middle Tennessee because it could not support all of his brothers and sisters. My mother had attended college, but in those days, married women did not work, and there was nothing she was really trained to do. There were no disposable diapers in those days, and she didn't have a washing machine, much less a dryer. So she washed my diapers by throwing them in the bathtub, jumping up and down on them. Some months they couldn't pay the utility bill, and the heat was cut off. And she and I spent the day in bed under blankets. Then World War II started. My father was too old to be drafted, but he did get a job working at the defense plant that made airplane parts. So we had enough money until the war was over. Then my parents divorced, and my mother and my baby sister and I went to live with my grandparents. I turned out to be a very good student and made all A's in school. By the time I was in high school, I had developed an interest in science. Oh, I lost my plot. Where'd I go? Okay. But there was no guidance counselors to help me with career choices or applying to universities, scholarships. My family didn't have money for a really good university, but they could afford the $60 semester tuition at Memphis State College. I worked part-time at my grandmother's flower shop, where my mother worked as well. I continued to make good grades and thought I would like to go to medical school. But my mother said that was out of the question and I should concentrate on finding a rich husband. I did find a husband. He wasn't rich, but he seemed to have potential. So I was married shortly before my 21st birthday. I don't recommend this. But in 1958, this was what young women were expected to do. Our plans were that I would work only until our first child was born. And this is what I did. But when my daughter was 9 months old, my husband lost his job. So much for the great potential. And I had to return to work. I found an interesting job in a research laboratory at the medical school, and my supervisor was so impressed with my work that he encouraged me to apply to graduate school. He told me there was a fellowship I could apply for that would pay my tuition plus a stipend equal to my salary as a lab tech, and I could earn my PhD as well. I applied and got a fellowship and became a full-time graduate student. This was a wonderful experience for me. I wish I could say my family was supportive, but they were not. My mother and grandmother didn't understand why any woman would actually want to work. They both felt they had to. My husband was convinced I would find it too difficult to go to school and take care of the house and child. It was difficult, but I'm very stubborn. So I finally earned my PhD in microbiology after 5 years. By that time, I had another child, a boy. His birth didn't make my life any easier, but I didn't give up science. Eventually, my husband and I were divorced because he was still living in the 1950s, where a woman's place was in the home, and I had moved into the 1970s, where women were beginning to believe they could have it all. I thought he would probably find a more suitable wife, but he never did. In contrast, I did find a husband who supported me in my career. I have had my ups and downs, but on the whole, I have been very lucky. I can honestly say I had it all because it isn't easy to juggle a home, a family, and a high-powered career, but it can be done, and it is indefinitely rewarding when it is. My children may have wanted a different type of mother, but they turned out just fine. My daughter is a psychiatric nurse. My son is an information technology analyst. My daughter never married, but she has 3 cats and 3 dogs for companionship, and she loves her work. My son has a wonderful wife and 2 beautiful and intelligent daughters. My greatest wish for my granddaughter is that they discover what they want in life and pursue it with their entire being. I envy you, the young women of today. This truly is a great country. Even today, in many parts of the world, women are oppressed and considered the property of their fathers and husbands. In some countries, girls are not allowed to go to school. In America today, if a young woman wants something badly enough, she has the required ability and is willing to work hard enough to get it, she can do just about anything she wants. Your family is likely to encourage you. Your teachers will point the way to scholarships and career goals, and your friends will be behind you as you go forth into the wonderful adventure that is your life. I wish you Godspeed. That letter was written by Dawn Vincent, PhD, Scientific Review Officer. Well, everyone, that is my time. Thank you for participating and coming on to the Instagram Live and Facebook Live takeover. Reading by Mimi Mimosa Palmer, reading Letters of Encouragement, the scholarship book by T.P.Brooks. All right, 17 letters from 17 encouraging and inspiring and motivating women. Thank you. I appreciate you all amazingly. Thank you so much for coming out. There are some more Facebook takeovers today. As a matter of fact, if you give me just a second, I'll tell you who they are, where they are, who's coming on today. Let me see. And of course, tune in. We have a full lineup. We have the L'Oreal Paris. They're coming on. They're helping us as well to trying to find who's on next. Sorry, I should have had this up a while ago. I know I'm up at 11. We have a 2 and then 5 today. So definitely tune back in at 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. and see who's on and what's going on today. I hope you all enjoyed the 2 letters I read today out of this wonderful book. I know this book has truly helped me. When I'm feeling down, I go through and I read these letters. So not just for young ladies, but women and, of all ages. So again, love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. today. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Y'all have a wonderful day. Love you. Peace, light, and blessings.